Here's your wrestling news for October 10th, 2022. And we're kicking off today with Bray Wyatt, who made his return to WWE at Extreme Rules and earned a thunderous ovation from the fans in Philadelphia. After months of speculation due to videos from the White Rabbit, WWE needed to get Bray's return absolutely perfect when they eventually brought him back to TV, and that's exactly what happened. In a new report from Fightful Select, WWE sources that they spoke to said that Wyatt's return was very well received backstage, and that officials were happy with the fan-created buzz in the prior weeks. WWE shared his return in two parts on YouTube, and the second part of his return, in just 12 hours, had garnered over 1 million views. The White Rabbit storyline was said to be Rob Fee's first project since being signed to the company, as Fee is officially Director of Long-Term Creative, and by every metric, Bray's return has been a resounding success. As soon as Bray Wyatt was released from WWE last year, fans wondered what would come next in his career, and few expected his return to the company. Wyatt's departure came after creative differences with Vince McMahon, with some saying that he deserved to be released, and WWE didn't waste time in bringing him back. According to Sean Ross Sapp behind Fightful's paywall, Bray Wyatt's WWE return was set in motion as soon as McMahon retired from the company, and that several people you'd expect to be told were kept out of the loop. This was done to ensure that Wyatt's return wouldn't get leaked to the public, though WWE had no problem teasing it with the White Rabbit storyline. McMahon's shocking retirement in July of 2022 has seen plenty of changes in WWE, with new management in charge and several wrestlers being brought back, and Bray Wyatt's epic return at Extreme Rules 2022 simply would not have happened without Vince's own departure. We know for a fact that Bray Wyatt is back with WWE, but the big question now is, why is he back? After all, following his controversial release last year, many thought they'd seen the last of Wyatt in WWE and possibly in wrestling altogether. According to sources, those within WWE brought Wyatt back because they felt the company needed livening up. As well, the company has improved under Triple H's regime, there is still work to be done. With only one world championship, WWE was actively seeking to bring Wyatt back to be a huge star again, with the consensus being that Bray doesn't need the title to be over with the fans. As we saw from his return, that is certainly accurate, and WWE is well aware of the value that Wyatt can bring to Raw, which, despite Seth Rollins' best efforts, lacks a top star. Another part of WWE's decision was reportedly to keep Bray from AEW, as reports came out that given the high asking price Wyatt was demanding for appearances, only WWE and AEW could afford his services long-term. Tony Khan certainly has the revenue to afford a megastar like Bray, and sources within WWE made it clear that WWE would fight tooth and nail to avoid seeing yet another one of their popular stars work for AEW's president. This is probably for the best, as even if Wyatt had joined AEW, he wouldn't have been able to use the Wyatt name or any of his nods to his past as The Fiend or the Firefly Funhouse, all of which is owned by WWE. Now Wyatt is officially back in WWE, and by all accounts, WWE have made one of the best decisions they've made in a very long time. The crowd in the Wells Fargo Center last Saturday, as well as fans watching around the world, were thrilled to see Bray back on TV, but he's not the only wrestler in the family. Fans will know that Wyatt's brother Bo Dallas worked for years for WWE before his own release in 2021. Brian Alvarez of the Wrestling Observer reported this week that according to multiple sources, Dallas should be back with WWE very soon. Some have speculated that Dallas may have already made his on-screen return for WWE, as he could have been the one in the Fiend mask during Bray's big return at Extreme Rules. A former NXT champion, 24/7 champion, and Raw Tag Team champion, Dallas is also in a relationship with current superstar Liv Morgan, and the couple may soon be working for the same company once again. Bo may be one of several superstars to join what some have dubbed a new Wyatt family, but we may already know another member should WWE go down this route. During the Extreme Rules return, several people brought the demonic characters from the Firefly Funhouse to life, and fans have suggested that Mercy the Buzzard was played by NXT's Grayson Waller, and that could be the case. In a video on Twitter, Waller addressed his current nemesis in NXT, Apollo Crews, but at the 28-second mark, a lantern, much like the one carried by The Fiend, can be seen. Now, we can't rule out the possibility of this being a coincidence, but given how careful WWE has been with Wyatt's return, that seems highly unlikely. Waller has appeared on WWE's main roster in the past, though it was only briefly as part of his feud with AJ Styles. But with this latest tease, the Australian superstar may be on his way back to Raw or SmackDown, and in a very much different role. Extreme Rules wasn't the only big event last weekend as Game Changer Wrestling held their Fight Club event, which saw Jon Moxley and Nick Gage in the main event. The match took place mere hours after AEW announced that Moxley had signed a new 5-year deal with the company, which will see him wrestle exclusively for AEW and their business partner New Japan Pro Wrestling. According to Fightful, sources from GCW told them that AEW didn't even want him to compete in the match at Fight Club, despite the bout having been promoted for months. The company was said to have even asked AEW talent not to work GCW dates months ago, though Moxley insisted on finishing his run with the company. The match with Nick Gage saw members of AEW stable The Firm appear, costing Moxley the GCW World title, and sources told Fightful that GCW had no say in the finish to their own show's main event. While sources told Fightful that Moxley may still be able to work indie dates on his new AEW deal, it'll only be surprise one-off appearances, as his days of being part of GCW have come to an end. Next year, WWE will host their annual Royal Rumble event, headlined by the 2 titular Rumble matches. No names have been confirmed for either match and no matches have been announced, but that hasn't stopped fans from picking up tickets for the January 2023 show. That's according to Fightful, who report that over 25,000 seats sold in the first weekend that tickets were on sale to the public, more than any other Royal Rumble event in the show's 35-year history. WWE will no doubt be pleased by this new record, a sign of WWE fans seeing improvement with the product in recent months, and time will tell who punches their ticket on the road to WrestleMania at next year's Royal Rumble. One name fans will have to consider a dark horse favorite in the Men's Rumble is Karrion Kross, who has been one of the top stars on SmackDown since returning, as seen with his win over Drew McIntyre in last Saturday's strap match. While Kross may be a big deal right now, his first run on the main roster left a lot to be desired, as the former NXT champion wore some kind of BDSM gladiator attire, complete with ridiculous helmet. As you'd expect, most fans found the look funny rather than scary, something that Kross will never forget, as he told the Ringer Wrestling Show, "The first time I came out with the mask, there were people laughing in the audience. They were laughing. I always remembered getting into this business and thinking to myself, when this is all said and done, I want to leave this place a better place. When I came out with that and I heard people laughing, I was like, you know, what I'm doing right now, to me, at the time, it felt like I was betraying everything that I wanted to contribute." For what it's worth, WWE are pretending that Kross's first run never happened, as they promoted his first match back after being rehired this year as his debut match on the main roster. WWE may not want fans to remember, but many do recall Kross's abysmal first run on the main roster, and the 2-time former NXT champion will never forget the response he got. As soon as Saraya appeared in AEW, questions arose as to whether she could wrestle for the company, after WWE refused to clear her for years. That question was answered last week when news broke that Saraya has been medically cleared by AEW physician Dr. Sampson, but the news has been met with a somewhat mixed response. Some have even accused Dr. Sampson of making an unethical diagnosis, with one account claiming 15 doctors in WWE refused to medically clear her, but that's not the case at all. On Twitter, the British star hit back at questions over the doctor's integrity, pointing out that it was Dr. Sampson who saved Jerry Lawler's life when the WWE Hall of Famer suffered a cardiac event during a September 2012 edition of Raw. Not only did Saraya share Lawler's situation, but she also called out a tweet for lying about 15 doctors not clearing her in WWE, something that simply isn't true. Ultimately, Dr. Sampson, like all physicians, is subject to the Hippocratic Oath and would not make the call if he wasn't sure. And after getting physical with Britt Baker recently, expect more of that for Saraya going forward. Triple H took over as both head of WWE's creative team and head of talent relations back in July, which came mere months after his retirement from the ring. The Game's wrestling career ended thanks to a cardiac event back in September of 2021, but his days on screen may not be over yet. According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, there is the possibility of Triple H being an on-screen authority figure again, a role he has held in the past. A special placard has been made for Triple H's office door, implying that it could soon be featured on TV, but there's no word on whether he'll be a face or a heel authority figure if WWE pulls the trigger on this plan. While the game has been a heel authority figure in the past, it may be difficult for fans to boo him after his retirement, so we'll just have to see whether the game becomes a permanent fixture of TV once more. In 2020, Renee Paquette left WWE after many years with the company, where she worked under various roles. As soon as Paquette left, there were rumors that she'd be joining AEW, and while that hasn't happened just yet, that time may finally be here. According to reports from Fightful Select, the belief within WWE is that Paquette will join AEW, especially now that Jon Moxley has signed a new 5-year deal with the promotion. Give Me Sports' Louis Dangor added that when WWE decided to change their commentary and announcing teams recently, they'd reached out to Renee about a return, but that hasn't worked out. Paquette joining AEW may be a matter of when, not if, but the big question is how this will affect her new role as the host of Renee All Day with the Cincinnati Bengals, as Tony Khan's father owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. AEW has signed plenty of former WWE names, including Jim Ross and Taz on commentary, and it may now be time for Renee Paquette to be All Elite. And we're ending today like we started with Bray Wyatt, who is back with WWE, and all eyes are on the former 3-time world champion. There's no word yet on who Bray will face off with first, but one name from WWE's past isn't waiting for The Fiend to make a decision. On Twitter, the Boogeyman shared images of himself and Wyatt, both as himself and as The Fiend, and welcomed Bray back, adding that he's coming to get him. Boogeyman, who made his WWE debut 17 years ago this very week, has made a handful of appearances for WWE in recent years, and like Wyatt, is known for his creepy, horrifying persona. While we doubt that Wyatt's first feud back will be with an ex-superstar now in his late 50s, a confrontation between the two may happen one day in what would be a meeting of two of WWE's most bizarre, spine-chilling characters of all time. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.